Hey everybody, I'm Lzzy Hale. Welcome back to a very special holiday edition of Raise Your Horns. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey Freak fam, say hell yeah, woo! So let me give you a little news update. A lot of stuff has been happening. Currently we are recording a new Halestorm album. So we've been pulling like these 10 to 12 hour days, and it's been really fulfilling and also really hard and awesome. And I can't wait for you guys to listen to some of this new material. In other news, I am actually hosting the She Rocks Awards this year. There's going to be a lot of honorees. That's on January 22nd. Tickets are on sale now. Go to sherocksawards.com. And I'm also going to be part of the Bowie tribute with Mike Garson presents on January 8th. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be amazing and magical. All-star cast. I cannot wait for that. So, and of course, out now, the Magic of Christmas Day duet that I did with my esteemed guest. And without further ado, let's bring him on right now. The king of scream, the blonde devil, the makeup smeared metal madman himself, Mr. Dee Snider, everybody. Woo! I wish I had some canned applause. My little brother has all those tricks, and I just don't care enough.
Working on a cure for COVID? Where is he?
Yeah, I know, right? What is he doing? What is he doing with his life besides, writing jingles and weird stuff going on? He's an Energizer bunny. Dee, thank you so much for being here, man. It's awesome to have you on the show, and I haven't done it in a second, so I'm a little, loosey goosey with it, but we're just gonna have some fun, and you're awesome.
Goosey is my favorite way to be. So let's just roll. I mean, this is just it's so bizarre. This whole story, this whole journey, even the song itself, and even the parts where your involvement, us first meeting all those years ago, and I was corrected. It was Golden Gods, not Metal Hammer.
You know what? One and the same. Yeah. For those who don't know, Dee and I met at the Golden Gods Awards. I think it was in 2012. It seems like maybe it would have been, or 13, one of those. Yeah. And we were co-hosting the Black Carpet, so that's where we met. And then I
haven't tell you, but I don't know if you heard my response. I didn't know who you were.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of Halestorm, and I didn't know Lzzy Hale. And I've been, I do radio, I do TV, I do hosting. I've developed. It's another craft, and I've developed an ability to do it. So I said I would do it, and I show up and they say, "Oh, by the way, I got to shut this thing off. I apologize.
Okay.
By the way, you're going to be co-hosting with Lzzy Hale from Halestorm." I was like, "Oh no, I got to carry this chick the whole time." This chick, how derogatory. Sorry, but that's what I thought in my head. I got like, oh my God, why can't I just do it myself? And then you come out and you're smart and you're funny and you're affable and you were great. I didn't do any carrying at all. You may even have carried me a couple of times there. So we met as people. I mean, she may have known about me, but I didn't know about her. I was like, wow, that's a cool girl. I like her. And then cut to, a number of years later, Sturgis. Do you remember what year you played that?
I think it was 2015, I believe. It was whenever ZZ Top was.
Yeah,
I think we were opening up for ZZ Top. So yeah.
And I was staying at the Buffalo Chip where Lzzy was playing, and I always go watch the bands. It's like my favorite thing. I ride all day, and then I hang out on stage all night and watch all the bands. And I got a chance to see Halestorm, and there was this long-haired dude standing on the stage, and I'm looking at him. I'm going, just the way he was looking at you. It wasn't like a creepy old man looking at you, but he was looking at you more than just like a fan or a guy. And I said, the band? He goes, that's my son and daughter. And I was like, oh, all right, I'm with Dad, And then he said, I used to play bass with the band, but
yeah. By the way, I'm kind of a big deal. I used to play bass with my kids.
Wisely, he stepped away. Some parents can't let go. I hosted a battle of the bands, and I forgot the name of the band. They were really good. There were 4 girls. They were beautiful. And this middle-aged dude on guitar in the background.
Oh, God.
And so they finished their first song. I go, what's wrong with this picture? I said, Dad, you got to go.
Right.
It's time to let you. Did a good job, man. They're great. Now step off. I'm sure there's a young female guitarist out there somewhere who could take your gig, all right?
Yeah, right.
Now, your dad didn't have to be told to leave. He left on his own.
No, I remember that. I remember the I think it was in like 99 or 2000, I forget which year, but it was like, it was that turning point, like where you're a young teenager and it's when like dad's really cool. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know, we got to look for people our own age. And I remember sitting dad down and he took it really well, but he was so cute about it. He's like, well, can I still come to the gigs? I'm like, yeah, of course. Someone's got to drive the van, because at the time we weren't old enough to drive. But
you had to have a meeting with dad.
I had to have a meeting with dad. Yeah.
That's amazing. Twisted Sister, we called that going to the diner. Yeah, like when you were getting kicked out of Twisted Sister, you got brought like, hey, want to go to the diner? It's like, yeah, let's go to the diner. And then all of a sudden you realize that the small talk stops and everybody's like, yeah. Something we need to talk about. So you took dad to the diner. Yeah.
Took dad to the diner. It's got to be in a public place, no freak out. It's funny. My monitor guy, I was telling him that I was talking to you today, Noah, and he reminded me of something else that happened at Sturgis, that I did not know about, thankfully, until after the show. But after the show, my monitor guy comes up. He's like, "Hey, boss, I gotta confess something to you." And I'm like, "What happened?" And he's like, "Well, you saw Dee Snider over side stage." I'm like, "Yeah, that was so freaking cool. You watched the show, And he's like, "Well, Dee asked to listen to your monitor mix just to kind of see if you were singing." And he's like, "Normally, if it was anybody else, I would be like, fuck off. But it was Dee fucking Snider. Like, what are you gonna do?" And so I'm like, "Well, I'm glad you didn't tell me while I was on stage. That would have been really nerve-wracking." But I thought it was funny because he was like, "Yeah, like, I mean, when Dee asked to listen to something, you show him."
I'm not gonna blow. I'm not blowing smoke here, folks, because I don't. My son, one of my brilliant children, said to me, "Dad, when you get a compliment, it's what they don't have to say. Oh, you're great. That's like standard. Oh, it was really good. That's standard. But when they go beyond, that's when you know there's truth here, because they don't have to say these things." And Lzzy, you've got a voice and a half, and you're pushing air. I put air too. There's some singers are singing a head voice, and it's not like a full voice, and you know what I'm talking about. And you are roaring, and I said, and on. Your pitch is on, everything's on. And I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. When you have the chance, you might hit that for a second. Yeah, like, okay, she's singing. That's really her. So you're the real deal, kid. Real deal.
Well, that is high praise coming from you, darling. And I just, I hope that that you were in fact in my playlist, growing up. And I don't think that I would be pushing that air without that influence. Just kind of, it's the little things that seep their way in, especially when you're so malleable, when you're a kid and you're first getting into rock music and you don't even know why. I still don't know why. I always think that rock kind of chooses you, not the other way around. Because if you could do anything else, you probably would.
There are easier paths in life. As glorious as it does seem, it's certainly filled with pitfalls. I remember my father used to try to do everything. Now, I'm always, when I say jealous, not jealous in a bad way, in a good way, of rockers whose parents are supportive, because mine were not. Now, as my father is very proud to say, hey, if I wasn't so tough on you, you wouldn't have written "We're Not Going to Take It." And he's right. I was like pushing back. But he was like, he grew up in the Depression. He's, an old World War II guy. And he just thought I was headed for heartbreak and failure. We talked about it a little bit before and he thought he was protecting me by stopping me. And he said, the dreams don't come true. The only thing that you get anywhere in this world is with blood, sweat, and tears. Well, he was right about the blood, sweat, and tears. I certainly bled, sweated, and cried for this, career. But dreams can come true. That part he was wrong about. So, it's amazing. I had guys in my band, my drummer, my bass player, everybody else in my band had supportive parents, but not the songwriter. His parents were, you remember the father in the rock video? That was my dad. And when my dad met Mark Metcalf, he was he was correcting him on the proper way to berate a child. I couldn't believe. My father was like, "Listen, let me tell you something. When you're yelling at your kid, you really got to get in there on him. Like you're too far back." He's like, "You're terrified." I'm like, "Oh my god,
that's amazing."
I'm scarred.
The original.
The OG. He said, "Why?" Because he just told me I was doing it wrong.
That's parents for you. Yeah. Speaking of families, I know this is like, we're coming up on the holidays and everything. How would you be spending, Christmas if everything had kind of remained normal? Do you get together with family, or is it like do you have any traditions?
Yeah. Well, we will have our small group. Normally, we'd have a much bigger, more extended. Now, normally, I'm going to put asterisks, not just COVID. Okay, the politics of the day have really caused rifts within my extended family. And the last time we got together, we nearly came to blows. There was literally nearly fist fights.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And we are not that family. We've never in our history had that problem, but Trump has created that extreme for him or against them, and people are aggressively for him or against him. And so we're doing a small, just 3 of my kids who are out here on the West Coast, and my wife and myself. So it'll just be a small one, and with some COVID testing and stuff beforehand.
Yeah.
But that was really part of the motivation for doing the Magic of Christmas, was reflecting earlier in the year on the inspiration for the song. Besides my wife asking me to write a Christmas song, what I loved about Christmas was it seemed to be a time of year where people set aside differences, came together, and even for a moment, let it go. And I'm not feeling that is there now.
No,
split,
I think any other Christmas in the past, I think that, and you and I talked about this before, I think that there would have been hope that there could be like a ceasefire, like what you were explaining before. It's like one of those, I think there would have been hope for that. I just feel like everybody is so incredibly, anally set in their ways that there's no middle ground anymore. There's no, you can't argue. It's like, like this phone is red. No, it's not. Well, no, literally it is. I'm holding it up. Well, no, it's not. It's like you can't argue with stupid. it's really tough.
Yeah, but some people will try.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Some people will try, and I know and I've been very honest in that. I've been very aggressive on the side, on the Democratic Biden side of things, and wanting change. But it's kind of the aggression that's been coming from the right. I feel you gotta push back equally as hard.
Of course.
To that end, this is part of the problem. You know what I mean? People become so entrenched in their beliefs that they're unwilling to listen to each other and say, about that phone. Okay, can we discuss the color of this phone?
Yeah.
Can we just calmly discuss the color of the phone? No, we can't discuss it. It's not a discussion. It's not red, So it's that kind of hostility. And that was, I don't know how much good Dee Snider can do. I'm sure Lzzy Hale can do a lot more good releasing The Magic of Christmas, God Bless Us Everyone, at this time. But I just felt that the words need to be said. The song is about that, the magic of Christmas, the good and the bad, the happy, the sad. Is that small time period where we used to let it go and come together and enjoy each other's company, and then go back to killing each other, not literally, people, but afterwards. But so anyway, I don't know. That was the motivation originally.
Well, you were so gracious to include me on The Magic of Christmas Day, and I know when I was recording my parts, it gave me some peace and quiet from the noise, because all for like what I forget, it was like a day and a half or something. That's all I was focusing on was, hey, let's do a Christmas song. And I was smiling the whole time that I'm singing it, because you can't help but do that. So I think that it's a beautiful thing. And For those of you, for those kind of watching right now that don't know the story of how this song came about, can you kind of walk
Absolutely.
through that?
You know, we've talked about things, but the audience hasn't heard it.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I know the story.
yeah, you know, of course, you know the story. So over 30 years ago, Suzette, my wife, who we've been together 44 years now, and she's, you know, the petite woman behind the monster, you know, making the costumes and the hair and the makeup and the Bone logo, which was a sketch she did in 5 minutes because I said, hey, I got an idea for a Bone logo. And I remember she just woke up, she had a coffee in her hand, wearing a robe, took a pen and a piece of typing paper because I was typing lyrics. And she goes, literally 5 minutes with a pen. She goes, something like this. I said, yeah, that'll give the art department the idea. So I brought it to the art department and said, this is the idea. Come back from Europe or something 4 weeks later, and it is on the album, on the T-shirts, on the drawing she did in 5 minutes. And to this day,
awesome.
Anytime you see the Bone logo, that is Suzette's 5-minute sketch. And she to this day goes, oh my God, you know, like it's like it's like a rough vocal. Like, you know, we were like, you didn't put the rough vocal on the record. You know, are you kidding? It was a rough vocal. You know, so they put the rough draw. Anyway, she tells me, she says, write me a Christmas song. And this is over 30 years ago. And at that time, I'm like, you know, metal. You know, I'm Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. I'm like, hey. I said, I'm metal. She goes, yeah, you're a classically trained countertenor. You can do it. I said, yeah, you're right. I can. But then I said, do you know how genre specific is the only phrase I could expect? The Christmas songs have an X factor in them, and I don't know how you can put them in there, how you get them in there. Sometimes you hit it and it's Christmassy, and sometimes you don't. War is Over, John Lennon, Christmassy. Having a Wonderful Christmas Time, Paul McCartney, not Christmassy. You can't just put the word Christmas in there and make it Christmassy. It doesn't work that way.
It's true.
I mean, you might as well be singing, having a wonderful time, drinking a pint of beer. Because you just stuck the word Christmas in there.
You can't just wedge Christmas wherever you want. It's like,
right, am I right?
It's good. Absolutely correct.
So she goes, you can do it. You can do it. I'm like, yeah. So I was writing some songs. Had a writing session, and suddenly, like a bolt out of the blue, I got an idea for a Christmas song. The phrase "God bless us, everyone," Tiny Tim's "God bless us, everyone" popped in my head, and I wrote the song. I couldn't even sing it. It's out of my range, hence Lzzy being on the record. I needed someone to sing the Rocket's Red Glare part all the way up here, and I hired session musicians, and without any intention of ever doing anything commercial with it for all the right reasons, I had it recorded. Merry Christmas, babe. I gave her the song, and thankfully she liked it. I mean, you know, that's the next thing. It's like, all right, are you gonna like it? And she's got pretty strong opinions on things. So that was it. Cut to mid-90s, the grunge era. The Cure, grunge, the Cure for hair metal. Let me tell you, people, Lzzy, I hope you never get the memo. What's the memo? The memo is we're not doing that anymore.
Oh my God.
I'm like, doing what? What you do. I said, what do you mean what I do? The way you look, the way you sing, the way you write songs, the way you perform. What a rude awakening that is. And when you dedicate your life to perfecting a craft, a style, a way, to be literally told we don't do that. So now I'm, listen, money runs out, especially when you got 3-4 kids.
Oh yeah.
And you're spending like a rock star.
Yes, and you're blacklisted and
yeah, for lack of a better word, that's really a good word for it. It was like being blacklisted. And and all of a sudden, mid-90s, in the midst of all that crises, I get a call. The engineer who was on the session for the recording of The Magical Christmas for my wife now is a big producer. His name's Rick Wake, Grammy Award-winning Mariah Carey, J-Lo, Celine, Diana Ross, like the biggest artists in the world. He's now a producer. And he calls me, he goes, he's sitting down. I said, yeah, why? He goes, Celine Dion wants to record your wife's Christmas song. I'm like, I was sitting, I sank a little bit lower in the seat. I saw somebody throwing me a lifeline, you know, and then my brain goes, wait a second, does she know who wrote the song? And he goes, we didn't tell her yet. I said, don't tell her. She wrote the Christmas song. Just don't tell her, please. I was terrified that she would think it was like a curse. You know, here's this blacklisted artist, you know, and hair band guy, you know, Mr. We're not going to take it. And then he's singing this beautiful song. He wrote this beautiful song. So they never told her. I don't know if she knows to this day. And they put it on the record. And These Are Special Times, which is that holiday record, is the biggest selling holiday record in history. 14 million copies sold.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It was a godsend, you know. So, and that was it. I mean, that was it. Meaning, this is the house Saint Celine built, and don't be fooled by this boring closet. The rest of the house is fantastic.
I think the closet is very nice. Yeah, I'm a closet.
Saving your rock clothes and all this stuff in there, and then I'm getting a green screen, people. I'm getting a green screen, and there'll just be flames around me all the time.
That'd be awesome.
You know, so because I'm metal. But you know, then cut to this year, reflecting on, you know, the song, the message, the time, and saying, you know, I don't know what good it'll do, but it made you smile. It made you you know, I mean, and you know, and it reminded me singing the words again, reflecting on Christmases past, and maybe some people will hear it, and the reaction, people who are hearing it are really loving it.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you're getting feedback on it, but they're like pretty blown away because it does have a Christmas vibe to it.
It does, and it also rocks, you know, and I think that it was really needed, and I've been having so much fun talking with all like our fan base that absolutely loves it. And so you know, honestly, like we have it in the wings right now, and I think that this might be a good time to unleash it upon anyone who hasn't necessarily seen it yet. And for everybody in the chat, Freak Family, I know that you guys have been literally you know, watching this on repeat because it's literally the only thing worth watching right now. So we're going to share it with you anyway, and you're going to have to sit through it all over again. But let's cut to the video. This is The Magic of Christmas Day with Mr. Dee Snider and myself.
It's the season to be
Yeah.
You know, or a lyric video that came out pretty damn good, you know.
Absolutely, considering we're both in our areas, and
Yeah.
I loved the instructions, and I kind of followed them a little too much to the T, because it's like, yeah, make sure you keep eye contact the whole time. And then when we got it back, my significant other is like, you're scaring me right now. You're just staring right in the camera.
You're very intense. My wife was a little scared. She goes, "Oh, she's intense."
You know what's funny? That comes from when I first started performing live. I was actually a really shy kid. Like I had a hard time looking at people, looking at an audience. I had to like put something on. So I forget who gave me this advice, but they're like, just pick one person out and just sing at them and stare them down until they look away. And it's like, and so like I was this creepy 15-year-old kid in the bars, just picking one person out and just singing to them until, and every time, and they would look away every time. And every time they did, I'm like, yeah, all right, I got him. Not on the next one. I did that to my bass player before he was in our band. He reminded me of that. And
that's pretty funny.
Yeah. So
I'll give a lot of advice, but that's not the advice. I have tried to quantify what I do, because I realize there's a lot of spontaneity, but there's also a lot of learned knowledge of how to deal with an audience. And I tell people, face them down. Do not look away. Do not turn. Look, I know that's popular with the grunge bands, but I bet you can get to the edge of that stage and look at them. You know, don't let them scare you. Don't let they're like, I view them. I'm sorry, people, but they can be like Doberman pincers. You gotta watch them, because they will turn on you and tear you to shreds if you don't keep an eye on it. And no one is like that. Yeah. But I want to if we can just take a minute, recognize the people who were on that track.
Oh, absolutely.
So first of all, I just want to mention, I'm going sort of out of order, but let's see. It's Tita Hutchinson did all the choir vocals in the background, and appreciate Brian Tichy, who's drummer extraordinaire, Billy Idol's drummer. He's played with so many people. He was on drums, amazing job. Dan Peters did the guitar solo, and Dan is one of those guitar players that I've met who's just staggering, but just hasn't gotten that break. You know, he was one of the third or fourth guitarists on Broadway for Rock of Ages. He's out of Chicago. He was I wrote a musical called The Rock and Roll Christmas Tale, and he was, it had an actual band that had to act and play in the show, and he was the guitar player. Oh, Johnny B. Great was made, and he shreds on guitar. Amazing. But the real, besides you and me,
I was going to say, isn't it?
Jeff Pilson. Jeff Pilson, bass player of Dokken, bass player of Foreigner. I mean, he played bass. He played rhythm guitar. He played keyboards. He produced the record. He did it all. And he's just such a talented guy, and really pushed you and me to go for it. You told me, I know that because I came in, I'm going, this is a Christmas song. I got to sing kind of nice. And he was like, yeah, you got it. You can't be like, the magic of, you can't be doing like Jerry Lewis or something. He goes, but you can be a little more rock. Push it deep, especially after we got your tracks. But he did the same with Dan. Dan was hesitant to shred too much. And Dan sent in a very, tame solo. And Jeff said, Dan, go for it, man. Go for it. We'll do the same thing.
That's amazing. Yeah, so many people went into making this, and I'm just, dude, you shred on the vocals, man. You always have, and you always will. It's like,
okay, forget this.
Really awesome.
Forget this, because this is the true story. So we record the track. I lay down my vocals. I go, okay, that's good. And I send them to Lzzy. Lzzy records her vocals, sends it back. I listen to Lizzy's vocals, and I said, damn it, I got to go back in the studio. I said, so I send Lzzy an email. It says, can I curse on this show?
Oh, absolutely.
Said, fuck you.
Yeah, I got the email.
And then I don't get a response from Lzzy. And so that was a compliment.
That was a compliment, by the way.
I'm from New York. And that's my highest praise. I mean, you make me have to work harder. And I semi-famously did this. I was in Rocktopia on Broadway, which is a classic rock, classical music rock mashup. It was on Broadway for a month, and I was one of the rock stars, resident rock stars. So my entry song is "Stairway to Heaven." I sing really traditional, Robert Plant style, which shocked the audience because I don't know what they expect out of it. You can hear people gasping when I start singing, "There's a lady who show," like that. You hear them go, because they expect me to go, "There's a lady who's," like screeching it or something. But before me, a singer named Chloe Lowry, who people have seen with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Broadway singer, she did "Alone" by heart.
Oh, nice.
When I tell you she just sings it better than Ann Wilson, that I'm not kidding, because Ann is a goddess. Okay. So when you get put into a show, you don't hear the whole show. You just do your parts.
Yeah, you're practicing.
Standing side stage, getting ready to sing "Stairway," and Chloe Lowry is just killing with "Alone." The audience is on their feet, and I have to go on after this. So they're playing my intro. I walk all the way around the other side of the stage, and I see Chloe. I say, "Chloe," she goes, "Yeah." I go, "Fuck you." And I walk back, and Chloe's face drops. And later, just like you, she said, "Dee, did I do something wrong?" I said, "Oh, no. That was the highest compliment I could possibly give you. Fuck you. You made me have to work harder." And now, by the end of the show, everybody, including the opera singers, were saying "fuck you" to everybody backstage. It was like you come off the set, "Hey, fuck you, Dee." Like, "Thanks a lot."
That's awesome.
Gave my all. Some gave all gave some.
That is, well, I'll tell you what, if you had told me when I was a teenager that someday Dee Snider was going to send you an email telling you "fuck you," I would have called you a liar. So I think it's amazing. It's one of those things that I will absolutely take with me.
Always treasure. Dee said "fuck you," but he meant it in a really good way. I meant it in the best possible way. You just destroy that. Question for you. This is rolling, right? We can just talk. Yeah. Okay. So when you when you do video, do you sing or do you mouth?
Well, it depends on how long. Because if it's like a 14-hour video shoot, I'll do like a half sing kind of thing, or it's still like looks and feels like I'm singing, but it's not like full blown out because I don't care how great you are. Sing for 14 hours is not fun.
No, it isn't, but I sing full bore.
That's awesome. You got it.
I don't know any other way. Otherwise, for some reason, it just goes like, I just do it like a puppet thing.
And you can tell, and you the audience knows, and it's so funny because so for those of you who don't know it, that just for on a very basic level, we're not singing the music video. It's a music video. We have to lip sync to it, but we have to make it as realistic as possible. Right. And so you can't just mouth the words. It's like I've seen videos where singers do that, and it's like, okay, come on.
Here's one of me. The first time ever lip syncing, we Twisted Sister had released an album and had a hit single called "I Am on Me" in England, and we got to be on Top of the Pops, which for years was the premier show to be on. But you lip sync. Yeah, and I've never done it before, and I'm like, bah, 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 bah. No, and I watch it back, and I'm mortified. And then I don't know where somebody told me that Mick Jagger said that no, you have to sing with the track in order to get it to seem natural. But I sing really loud, so I have to turn the volume way up, and I'm just like, God, I'm like, blast, Ethel Merman. I don't know if anybody knows who Ethel. That's an old reference. Okay,
I know Ethel Merman.
Yeah, she sounds like Axl Rose. Okay, she's a Broadway singer who Axl Rose sounds like, and I'm suspicious.
Child
or something, because he's got that same he's got a voice, Ethel Merman voice.
You probably just blew Axl's cover. Like whoever's touring with Guns N' Roses right now is actually. Makeup and
Axl moves on stage like Davy Jones from the Monkees.
Oh, that's funny.
And they've done this on VH1. I brought that up, and they put them side by side. An old thing of the sideways shuffle, which is Davy Jones patent approved, and Axl Rose doing the same shuffle. So he rips off Davy Jones of the Monkees, of all people. And I love you, Axl. I love Guns N' Roses. Don't get me wrong. I'm just having fun with them.
No, absolutely. It's interesting where the things that you soak up and where people's influences are. And I don't know, I can't necessarily pinpoint what my personal stage presence is. Like, as far as like, who did I get that from? I think it's just a mashup of all the videos that I watched growing up and all the live stuff that I watched growing up. And it's like, you're
angry, the angry guy, thing, and girls don't usually do that. They have the angry guy thing, which at first I'm going, wait a minute, I think that's me. I go, wait a minute, Hetfield's doing angry guy. There's a bunch of us doing angry guy, but she's doing angry guy. She's not doing, it's not Lita. Lita didn't do angry guy. Joan didn't do angry guy. No, you're doing angry guy, but God bless you, you're pretty, so it doesn't look like this. It doesn't look like this,
No, and I grew up with a lot of dude rock, man. It's like, it was a lot of, 70s and 80s hard rock and metal. And it wasn't until I was like midway through my teens that my mom was like, all right, so if you're going to be into Dio and Twisted Sister and and AC/DC and Alice Cooper, you should be listening to Heart. You should be listening to, all the the four mothers of rock as well. So it's like, it's interesting because I remember listening specifically to Heart. The first album that I ever listened to by Heart was a live record in the 90s called The Road Home. And I had never heard them live before. I had heard Barracuda on the radio and all that stuff, but it's like, I never really dug in. And, her voice just melted me. And it was so funny because I'm like, oh, so yeah, no, girls can do this. That's cool. I'm already a girl, so I got that going for me. But
all right, well, you know what? Now I'm sorry, I do too much radio for too many years.
No,
I can't help but like flip the tables and be interviewing you. But I am curious because I've sort of been, now that I'm like working with you, and I'm watching you more and analyzing you, and going, okay, I just saw something you did with Seether. You did Broken with Seether.
Oh, yeah.
And Crush It. Of course, I'm going to call you the Soul Crusher. Because the guy who wrote the song comes out and sings it, and he's like, oh, wow, that's great. And then she goes, okay, I'll take the next verse. Kill, 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 kill. Sing it better than you ever sang it in your life. Die, die, die. Okay, you take the next part. Rap. So, but you are very much a girl. I say that in the most safest, nicest way. Physically, you're a girl. Facially, you're a girl, and you dress like a girl. But you come out on a stage like a dude. You come out on the stage like a dude. And I said, I really thought, I said, did someone say, listen, did they tell you, did you dress like more like dude-ish before? Because you don't dress, you dress feminine. And I think it's girl power in that way, that you don't. My wife is very much a feminist. Yeah, she always said, you don't have to be a guy, look like a guy, to be a feminist. You do be a strong woman. We could still control our own bodies and ourselves and dress like a woman and look like a woman, because we're women. We have our way, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean you have to be weak. And you exude, you are a woman, yet you still are not, you're certainly not weak, especially on stage. Did you get any guidance on that from anybody? Mom, perhaps?
No, and I appreciate that. And my view of it is always, I'm very proud to be a girl. I like being a girl. It's fucking fantastic. I've been asked that in nearly every interview, like, what's it like being a girl in rock music? It's fantastic. I love it, but I also like the dichotomy of the fact that when you walk out on stage and you look feminine or you look like a girl, and then being able to sing like that, there's this shock value to that.
Yeah, and play. I'm doing a lot of interviews for the song, and someone mentioned they didn't know you could sing like that. That they thought of you more as a great guitar player. And I said,
that's funny.
And I've seen you shred. You certainly do shred. But yeah, they were like blown away by your voice.
And that's all.
You do both very well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I remember when we were playing, bars and clubs growing up. Like, there was literally every single time there would be like, nobody would know I'm in the band. They thought I was the girlfriend carrying in the boyfriend's equipment, or I was the merch girl, or whatever. Without fail, just assumed that I wasn't in the band. So instead of being like, well, fuck you about it, I'm like, okay, no one's expecting me to be in the band. So I started I would start the set from the audience, like just kind of singing a cappella or whatever. I would make sure I'm wearing, you know, the skirt and everything. So they're thinking I'm going to come out and sing in this pretty, you know, voice and whatever. It's like, and then do that. So you kind of, you take those negative things and you make them into your superpower.
Very good. People pay attention, take notes seriously. This is the kind of stuff you're supposed to take notes about and realize that, you know, you can use that to your advantage when they're not expecting you to be a certain way. You can like really blow them away. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story about Lita Ford. And Lita and I, we are real friends. Friends, we weren't really friendly in the day. We became friends after the day when she had kids and I had kids, and we started hanging together because
we a lot of fun here.
Family and bonded on that, and we did vacations together. We went to Universal, went to Disney. We would go to dinner. I mean, we and of course she's gone through an ugly divorce. Sadly, she was a great mom, contrary to any other rumor you hear. Great mom. I witnessed it myself. Had a lot of time with Lita Ford. But the first 1984, Lita's opening for Twisted Sister. It's actually Rat, Twisted, and Lita are touring together, and Lita's opening, and she's got Gotta Let Go just came out, and she's starting to, you know, build a rep. And she'd come out on stage, and you know, jeans, leather jacket, but not, you know, not looking dykey at all. She's like, you know, and she'd get up there and rock, really rock. And so I remember the last date in '84 of the tour, I called her into my dressing room and I said, Lita, I said, you rock. And you are doing something great for women. You are making a statement. It is not a man's game, and you are owning that, and you're going up there, and you're playing great, and you're singing great. And she's not a great singer, but she's a rock singer, you know? Oh, yeah. I said, remember, you're carrying the torch for women here, and stand tall. And she said, thank you for those words of advice and encouragement, Dee. Thank you so much. Cut to the next time I see her, it's in a rock video. She's crawling on all fours. If you remember that video,
yes, I remember that video.
Is laying on the ground, and she's humping an ice cube or something. I don't know what you were doing. And I'm just watching. I'm going, okay.
Who wrote that script?
I don't think I got through to her. I said, certainly she's had a major career, so you know, who am I to say? But that was not what I meant when I said, you know, stand tall
to own it.
Crawl around on all fours with your guitar, literally laying on the floor in the video. So yeah. So my advice to you: continue what you're doing.
Continue.
Don't crawl around on all fours.
Well, now I can't, because if I ever do, I'm going to hear from Dee Snider, be like, "What? I told you not to crawl around on all fours in that video."
Damn it, girl! Leave that to the guys.
Leave that to the dudes. They can crawl.
How you doing? We're playing against type.
I've been very lucky to have a team around me, and for better or worse, like no one has ever told me how to dress. You said I need to lose weight, told me to crawl on all fours. I've been very lucky in that aspect. You know, now I may have made some poor fashion choices. 2010 in particular was a very dark time for fashion for me. But
I don't know. People have no idea what you're wearing. It's just funny to hear someone reference that. You know, I mean, I don't think, do I have a particular outfit? Well, I've worn some.
Well, I think you went all in first out of the gate. So it's like, you know.
Well, and then, here's something interesting. Just to get back to fashion choices, Suzette the guys in the early days, Suzette started making clothes because I showed up. Well, she showed up to the club one night, and I was wearing the same thing she was. And she wore it because I had told her how great it looked. She thought I meant on her, and I went out with the same outfit. And she walked into the club, and we just starting out, and I'm like on stage going, "Hey, we're wearing our top, one shoulder mesh." It was fantastic. Anyway, so at that point, she starts making clothes for me. She goes, "This is not happening again." And in the early days, she made me a lot of pastels, pastel spandex. I only found out about a year ago when I ran into some old fans, literally old fans from the club days, that they could see my junk when I sweat. That, like a woman wearing a white top with no bra, when it gets wet. Well, when I sweat, and I sweat heavy, the baby blue, baby pink, baby yellow became apparently transparent. And not only did the audience know everything about me, but they knew I was circumcised, and they tell who did the work, actually, by the angle he cut on. So, yeah. So that was a bad fashion choice. You're talking about 2010. You're talking about 2010.
It's either a bad fashion choice or the best fashion choice that you could have possibly made. It's like, I mean, it's shock rock. It's great.
No, that was shocking.
It was that was a shocker. Hey, the audience wasn't expecting that, and you brought it to them. I admire it.
Brought it to them. Here it is. Check it out.
Dee, I love one of my favorite albums was actually Stay Hungry growing up, and I love the way that you write songs, and this is me being selfish because I have you here, but you have this knack for writing a song that to the ear seems fairly simple. It's sing-alongable. It doesn't seem that complicated, whereas when you actually try to learn the song, in particular, I Want to Rock, okay? The rapid fire vocals, the riff, it's difficult. It's like, yeah, cover this motherfucker. It's really, but it's also, it's amazingly, like I said, sing-alongable and very, very broad. And so I'm wondering, have you always written that way? Is that kind of is that something in the back of your mind, or does that just kind of naturally come to you?
You know the theory of 10,000 hours to master anything. Have you ever heard that theory? For those listening who don't know it, there's a book out about it, actually, that says that you can master any instrument, any craft, any ability, but it requires 10,000 hours of effort. And if you put in that time, you will master. Twisted Sister, as some people now know because of the documentary We Are Twisted Fucking Sister, was together for 10 years before we broke in 1984, before Stay Hungry. And I wrote hundreds of songs. And JJ French, I love you, JJ. He's my dear friend, but he is the manager of Twisted Sister, and we are putting out more stuff than Tupac Shakur. I mean, is it crazy how much catalog and he's releasing demos and
wow.
And I listen back. He calls it the Club Days 1 and 2, and I hear my songwriting from the 70s, and I am mortified. And we took a long time to get signed, and I listened to those songs going, well, of course we didn't get signed. I was not a good songwriter. So the answer is, I worked at it. I worked at it and studied and analyzed other songwriters and songs that I liked and what made them work, and what made them didn't work, and took inspiration from them. And eventually now I can do it fairly freely. I mean, I'm not saying it's effortless, but now I have an understanding. It's like when you pick up the guitar, now you know how to play. You put in your 10,000 hours and you can play. Maybe you can't play everything, but you can play guitar. And I can write songs, and thank you for your compliment. I mean, it really means a lot. And I sometimes think that because the songs are simple, tend to be simplistic and straight ahead, they are dismissed. That's one of the things I liked. I was in Rock of Ages on Broadway for 3 months, which was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And if you ever get the opportunity to do theater, I mean, I never did anything like that. And then when at the opening of the show, the premiere of the show, the producer said, "Hey, what do you think about being in the show?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I was saying, "Yeah, figure it out later." 2 years later, we're on safari in the jungles of Africa, and my manager calls on a satellite phone, and I was like, "Phil, come on, man!
Wow,
that's dream trip." He goes, "You're in." I said, "I'm in what?" He goes, "Rock of Ages." Suzette thought somebody died because next thing I said, "When?" And she thought, okay, I see Dee's face. It's like, and he just said, "When?" Somebody died. I hang up and she goes, "Who died?" I said, "No, I'm in Rock of Ages in 2 weeks."
That is amazing.
2 weeks. So I got put in. But the thing I loved about the show is it shined a light on 80s rock. 80s rock is often dismissed. And when you put it into that theater experience with, in a lot of cases, it's a little more orchestrated. There's choir, they have the background singers or whatever. It was suddenly like really just they shined a light and said, this music has value. And it sold a lot of copies, but you know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the legit press, they tend to dismiss what I do, what we did. You certainly don't. So thank you for appreciating that.
Oh, of course, man. It's literally my favorite era. You know, I've always been about a decade behind in my interest in music, much to my friends' chagrin in the 90s. In the 90s, I was listening to, you know, 80s music and 80s hard rock and metal. And it's always been a part of who I am. And I'm going to continue holding that flag however long I can. We only have a couple more minutes here, but I just really want to thank you for being a lifer in this business, and not, you know, regardless of getting the memo and all the ups and downs, and then the Celine Dion song, and like the you know, the ebbs and flows. You've never just thrown in the towel ever, and I think that that's important. Not just to me as someone who looks at you as a life goal and wanting to be that, and wanting to I don't want to stop music ever, you know, regardless of whether it's popular, regardless of whether, you know, what if touring comes back again, you know, and I'm still going to continue doing it. And so I just appreciate that. And I think it's important, not only for me, but for everybody else to see that example.
Thank you.
And so you're awesome.
You know, one of the rude awakening is, you know, is that it's making it is not a finish line.
Mm-hmm.
We all say, I'm going to make it. And we think it's some point where we'll cross like, yay, victory lap, and I'm set for life. And it's not how it works. And I've grabbed more than one upcoming rock band after my fall from grace and said, it's a ruse. It's a ruse. You know, you just got to take whatever energy you build in this business. And now, don't take it for granted. It may keep going forever, like the Ozzies of the world, but that's few and far between. Most of us have to figure out, all right, how do we take the energy we've got here and go somewhere else with it? So whether it's you go and do radio, which you could, or expand into TV, or Broadway, or, you know, writing. I'm going to be directing my first movie. I'm supposed to be in May, but and I've spent the last 30 years working on the craft of screenwriting, and I've gotten really good at it. I've just gotten hired to write a movie for a studio independently. They want just this guy who we like his writing, and I'm being
awesome
to write a movie. To me, that took a lot of years to get to that point. So I encourage you. You know, you've got a great energy going for you and stuff going on, and you have a lot of abilities, a lot of talents. Be fearless in what you try to do. And you say, you know, I think I might like to freaking do it.
Do it.
Freaking do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah. Thank you, dude. That's awesome advice. Dude, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being such a good friend to me, and for including me in the magic of Christmas Day. Guys listening at home, if make sure you share that video, share the song with all of your friends and family this Christmas. And until we meet again, everybody
next time we meet again.
Until next time we meet again. have a happy holiday, and give it, and literally wherever you are in the world, everybody listening at home, yourself included, Dee, give yourselves a big hug from me. Like I said, till next time, Merry Christmas, happy.
One last thing, kid. Oh, yeah. We are forever.
Oh yeah, dude, you can't
forever.
Get rid of now.
Christmas songs are eternal, and this year a certain amount of people hear it, and then next year it'll be again and again and again. And Dee and Lzzy, the magic of Christmas Day, like this, forever.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Thank you so much, guys. All right, we'll see you next time. See you after the new year, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right, raise your horns.